Hello everybody, my name is David and I am joined today by Nicki from Honeycomb Aeronautical, and we're going to be talking today a little bit about what you guys are doing, what you're looking to do in the future, and what you're showing off here at Expo. So before we jump into that, how was your trip to Expo so far? Has it been good, bad? Had any interesting flight experiences getting here?
Actually, it was a pretty interesting flight experience. Well, first of all, I was lucky enough to get upgraded to first class for free, so thank you, American Airlines, very much. And then when we were connecting through Dallas-Fort Worth, they actually had an inaugural flight, so they had the water cannons shooting over a 787 Dreamliner. I've never seen that before, so that's kind of a cool experience.
Yeah. All right. How are you finding Florida so far? The heat, everybody seems to be hesitant to go outside.
Isn't it just wonderful?
It's wonderful.
I live in California, so I'm used to dry heat, which is not too bad. But luckily, I was in Hong Kong getting the final prototypes done last week, so I got a little bit of humidity experience going on right now.
Right. So you went from one to the other. That probably certainly makes it a lot better. So can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, both within Honeycomb and what Honeycomb does as a company?
Yeah. So, my name is Nicki. I have over 10 years experience in flight sim hardware. Ran SciTech flight sim for a number of years in North America before it got sold to Logitech, and decided to start my own flight sim company because everything in the business is pretty much 15 years old in kind of the value price range. So I wanted to create something that had better quality at an aggressive price point for the flight sim community, and that's how I started Honeycomb.
Right. So your yoke and throttle are here on display. Obviously it's Friday, so we've only really gotten developers walking around. But what does the reception look like so far from the people who've gotten to take a look at it, and even from the last time you showed it off? What's the public kind of reception been?
Honestly, I'm blown away by the support of the community. I mean, not only the accolades they give us, we went to Sun and Fun, and people drove in hundreds of miles to the air show just to come and try out the yoke. But also online, the support, the understanding that this has been taking longer than anticipated to get ready, that the community has had the patience to wait for us because they knew that waiting was worth it, is incredibly appreciative about.
Right, so you kind of ended there talking about, the products have maybe taken a little, longer on schedule than I think we were initially anticipating. Can you maybe talk about maybe a few reasons why and a few challenges you've faced along the way with developing these products?
Yeah, so when I first envisioned these products, I really thought about how I wanted it to feel, what I wanted it to look like. But I'm not a mechanical engineer, and I'm not an industrial designer, so I outsourced those functions. So the industrial design was done by an incredibly talented guy that actually designed the Microsoft Surface for Microsoft. And the mechanical design was done by Precision Flight Controls, which make really high-end FAA-approved simulators. So we worked together as this three-part in getting my vision across design-wise and getting just the right feel for the product. And to me, it's really important that it wasn't that the design didn't identify with just one type of aircraft, that you could envision yourself in a general aviation aircraft, or you can envision yourself in a commercial aircraft or a corporate jet, that the design was kind of a hybrid between all of them,
right,
so that it worked in any type of cockpit. That was really important for me. But then also the feel, that there's no center detent in the yoke, whether it's aileron or elevator axis, that it's really smooth and you can do minute, fine controls was important. And honestly, I think I drove all the engineers crazy, because I'd have 20 different yoke next to each other with different tension bands and different feel, and I'll go from one to the other to the third. It's like, oh no, this is not fine. Oh, this is not great. And right now, we're doing changes to the manufacturing process because I wasn't happy with the tolerances on when you put in the dual linear bearings in the yoke. That there's two. That there was like, if you don't have it precisely, they feel like a minute kind of grinding feel. And you don't notice this if you don't have one that's perfect next to it. But so right now they're changing the manufacturing process so they're perfectly aligned, so you don't have that tiny little. So all these things is like, when you over time, it just adds up time. But now it's ready. Finally, it's ready.
That is super exciting. I've yet to try it personally, but I think probably as soon as this interview is done, I'm probably going to go over, see if I can get my hands on it, give some first impressions. So those sound like some very, exacting and tolerating standards for the product. Certainly sounds a lot like you guys care really about making sure the quality is absolutely perfect. Can you give more details specifically about the coating materials used on the product to give it that more durability oriented feel? Because I know a lot of those SciTech products, right? You use it for a couple of years, and it starts to get a little bit sticky. It starts to get a little bit worn down, and obviously you can't avoid wear, but trying to make it feel a bit longer lasting than SciTech.
Well, here's the thing and it's fun, everything from the bearings we're using to the PCB board, the materials, the potentiometers that we're using. It's like we're talking about a product that was developed 15 years ago compared to a product that's developed in 2018, right?
Right.
So, and that comes from all the materials, including the elastomer finish that we're using as a coating on the yoke. So they haven't evolved the products. They designed it back then, and then they stick to that. And by the standards it was back then, it was great. But by 2018, 2019 standards, it's not quite the same. So we're using the latest materials. We're doing a multiple layer coating so that it doesn't rub off as easy. Look, if you have this yoke for 15 years and you use it every day, there's going to be wear and tear, no matter what. But we use the most high-end coating quality, and we're doing multiple layer to make sure that doesn't happen.
So obviously, again, that really does sound very, very quality oriented, which is certainly something that is more expensive to do than to just throw some plastic on and call it a day. So how did you define a price point that the market would generally kind of accept as reasonable and as something they'd want to invest in? There are so many different types of planes, and you hit on this earlier that it was kind of a hybrid of all of them. But why did you settle on the price you did, and why did you kind of settle on the way you did it?
So it comes from experience of my time at SciTech. Is right where we want to be a mass market product that's affordable to the vast majority of flight simmers. And you just see, if you look at the different products that's out there and the different price ranges, and you look into market data on how big a market share they have, there's some pretty clear indications on what people's price sensitivity is. So we wanted to keep within those so that we appeal to mass market, because a lot of the higher end yoke manufacturers are really little machine shops that do limited quantities, which means they use aluminum pieces that they fold and so on, which doesn't require tooling. But all our products are made of injection tooling. Just one injection tool is like 200 grand. So we have to have volume to be able to afford those things, to have the engineering level that we have. So we're able to create a yoke in the $200 price range that is really on par with a product that's $1,000 from another manufacturer.
Right. And speaking of that kind of that mass market appeal, a lot of people, really are looking at rudder pedals, and they're kind of upset about how expensive they are. Do you think going forward we might be able to see like a Honeycomb Aeronautical rudder pedal set?
Oh, I can guarantee it. Yeah. So we have a roadmap right now, and without giving up too many details, rudder pedal is definitely part of it, and it's upcoming as one of the next ones. But our whole short-term roadmap strategy is to create a whole cockpit solution and do it in a modular function so that it mounts onto each other, or is compatible with the different shells that's out there right now, or compatible with a SciTech yoke. I mean, we've made sure that all our things are intercompatible. Also, if you have a SciTech radio panel, it mounts directly onto our yoke. So we made that interchangeable so it works across the board. But yeah, we have both rudder pedals, some flight displays, some other panels that I can't talk about right now, some European airplane controls that for commercial aircraft that's also in the roadmap. So we got quite a few things in there. Let me say, I've got enough work for a few years on the product development side of things.
Wow, that is certainly that is really impressive, and that's certainly going to be something I definitely look forward to. What do you think about adding like force feedback to the product? Is that something we might see in the future of the products, maybe as like a like another tier up, if you even intend to kind of do like multiple tiers of products? Could we maybe expect to see force feedback at some time in the future?
Yes, it's the short answer. The long answer is that we've been discussing with a Canadian company that makes electromagnetic force feedback. So it's definitely in the plan to do a force feedback yoke, sub $500, and also have a pro version of the throttle where you have auto levers and motorized trim wheel as well in that kind of price range. So yeah, it's all on the roadmap. Now let's get these products to the market first, then I'm not going to promise a date on these things right now, because that was a promise. The problem I had with the old ones is I anticipated the product development to go much faster than it did, and it upset some people that we didn't meet the deadlines that we've set ourselves. So it's definitely coming. I just don't know when.
And I think that's definitely the safe bet, is to not know when, but I certainly excited to kind of see what comes out of that. What would you tell a customer then? Because we're talking about all these premium features, but to the average customer who's never really owned a hardware product before, or they own another hardware product and they're content with their current hardware product, what would you tell them that you think would kind of seal the deal about your Honeycomb line of products?
Well, you know what? I mean, if you own a CH or a Cytec Logitech product, you're basically driving it's like driving a 15-year-old car. So it's time to renew and get that new shiny model. Smells like a new car too. So yeah, it's going to be like night and day, honestly. So if you want to have that realistic flight sim feeling, come try us out. Or read the reviews. There's going to be one out in PC Pilot in the next issue, and I think it's going to be pretty good. So if in doubt, check with all the good people at FSElite or any other place that does publications. So
yeah, we'll be sure to cover it. So we spoke a lot about these plans going way far out into the future, but in the immediate future, with the throttle and the yoke, do we have anything firm in terms of, or the somewhat firm in terms of release for these products, when we could kind of get our hands on them and see what's up?
So we're getting our pilot production delivered to us July 17th. Now that's not really a lot. That's more for reviewers and so on. If there's no problem with that pilot production, we go straight into mass production. First delivery August 13th. So then we have to obviously ship it from the factory, but anybody who pre-orders on our website will ship directly from the factory to them. So that means that they will have them about mid-August. They will have their product.
Mid-August. Yeah. All right. You guys can check out Honeycomb Aeronautical, like you were saying. It's coming soon. So I'd go to their website, learn a little bit more about it. Flyhoneycomb.com and go see what they're all about.